I am your host for tonight, Maddy Weeks, and I am so excited to be here. Before we begin, yes, as you can probably tell, we are doing another remote season. But that's not about to stop us from delivering to you the highest quality of television that an iPhone camera can provide. Tonight on the show, we are here to discuss the thing that seems to only be on some people's minds: climate change. It's here and it can't wait, despite what certain coal-packing pollies will tell you. The United Nations will soon be throwing its next climate change-themed shindig, the Conference of the Parties, affectionately referred to as COP. It's an opportunity for the world's leaders to have a bit of a chit-chat about the impending heat death of the world. Woo! The International Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, was formed and reported in 1990 that increased levels of greenhouse gases were causing temperature rises. They estimated that immediate substantial reductions were required. Immediate substantial reductions. World leaders, you keep saying those words, and I do not think they mean what you think they mean. Our world leaders have had plenty of opportunities to figure out what the hell these words mean. Like in Berlin, Geneva, Kyoto, Buenos Aires, Bonn, Hague, Marrakesh, New Delhi, Milan, Buenos Aires, Montreal, Nairobi, Bali, Poznan, Copenhagen, Cancun, Durban, Doha, Warsaw, Lima, Paris, Marrakesh, Bonn, Katowice, Madrid, and soon to be Glasgow. In case you aren't aware, those cities are the locations of the last 25 COP meetings, with the 26th soon to be in Glasgow. What is wild though is up until last week, our government hadn't picked someone to attend COP26 in Glasgow. Yeah, if only we had an elected leader who was meant to represent us, like a chief parliamentarian or prime minister or something. But up until last week, Scott Morrison was still entered as a maybe on the COP26 Facebook event page. Pretty rude. Sorry UN, I have to finish painting my cubby house that weekend. It's very interesting that Scott Morrison wasn't interested in attending COP26 given his travel exploits. Admittedly though, Glasgow's beaches aren't as good as Hawaii's. The Queen and Prince Charles have both weighed in on Scott Morrison's lack of interest in attending COP26, with Prince Charles saying in a recent interview that COP26 is the last chance saloon for global climate action, which is a surefire way to get Scotty's attention, since we know he loves the pub, a place where he can demonstrate his regular white bloke relatability for all the TV cameras that just happen to be there. Scotty's love of the pub does seem fair dinkum. Here at The Leak, we think Prince Charles was onto something, so we'd like to keep it going by talking to Scotty in a language he can understand. So Scotty, listen to me. It's last drinks, mate. We're running out of ice, the dunnies are flooded, and we can't serve food anymore because the bloody kitchen's on fire. Your friends have all ditched you after you embarrassed them with your daggy dad dancing, so we have no choice. We're cutting you off. No more fossil fuel for you. And no, you don't have until 2030 to get going. The party's over now. And unfortunately, I don't mean the Liberal Party. It's time to pay the tab. Oh, Gina and Twiggy are going to pay? Oh yeah, again. Well, I hope they're forking out for all the damage. They've made a total mess of the Pilbara. And hey, hand over those car keys. You're clearly not fit to be in the driver's seat. Who's your designated driver? Oh shit, it's Barnaby bloody Joyce. Barney, look, take him straight to Glasgow and don't let him stop at Macca's. You know what happened last time. The reason given for Morrison's reluctance to attend COP26 is the 2-week quarantine. Although this didn't stop him from travelling to Japan, Great Britain and America since the start of the pandemic. Or maybe the poor baby's just tired from all that globetrotting. Must be nice, Scotty. Maybe he's staying home this time to offset his carbon emissions. I wish. But we all know that when the going gets tough, ScoMo goes on holiday. If only the UN had held the conference in Hawaii, not Glasgow, we wouldn't have had a problem. With that rant over, we're now crossing to our correspondent, Isaac. We here at The Leak are very concerned about global warming and can only speculate about what our world will look like in the future. But that speculation can now be resolved Using the power of technology, we can now communicate with one of our correspondents living in the year 2031. Isaac, how you doing? What's it like living in the future?
Yeah, we're doing okay, actually. Yeah, we're doing alright. Yeah, I guess. Better than you lot.
Sorry, did you just say that our current situation is worse than yours?
Well, you're in the middle of a pandemic, and you're wasting your time on irrelevant things such as global warming.
Irrelevant?
Don't worry. Global warming is something like an old wives' tale these days.
Surely the increases in temperature had a widespread effect?
Yep, on our holidaying.
What?
Well, yeah. High temperatures means more time at the beach. Fun days in the sun. Good looking tans, you know? Bit of UV never hurt nobody. The only ramification I can think of is getting a bloody car park, am I right? Bloody tourists.
Polar bears are dying!
But who's to say those polar bears aren't hired actors? I've never seen one. Coincidence?
I'm talking globally. The consequences are massive.
Look, I'm just going to stop you right there. We as a society in the future, we've come to accept that our time on Earth is imminent and we are doomed and the apocalypse will happen. We've just kind of, accepted it. Like fashion trends, But hey, look, Sportsbet have put out a new app where we can actually put bets on which apocalypse is going to happen. I've got a multi that artificial intelligence is going to do us in, robots and computers, they're going to kill us all. Have a bit of fun with it.
What about our future?
Well, look, we as a society are Darwinian, survival of the fittest. Toughest makes it to the top, Look, I say, bring it on. I don't think the global warming thing's that big of a deal anyway. It's just another bugbear, really.
But not every species has that luxury.
Don't be fooled by the storm clouds behind me. It's actually a very warm day. This is a summer. It's actually 50 degrees. Don't be fooled by the rain. That's not at all a regular thing these days.
Isaac, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you later. Much later. We'll be back after this short ad break.
Environmentalists. They're insidious, they're subversive, and they're everywhere. They take to the streets to protest government policy instead of funding think tanks like normal, sensible Australians. They pay their taxes instead of hoarding their money in the Cayman and Virgin Islands. Even more ridiculously, they expect their taxes to go to public services instead of funding subsidies on mining companies. They have the sheer entitlement to demand a livable Earth instead of helping Jeff Bezos make his master base on Mars. They waste money on news outlets that aren't News Corp, if they even pay for their news at all. They have strong opinions that are in opposition to mine. This has got to stop.
Authorised by Australians against non-Australians. PO Box 666, Grand Cayman, KY11113, Cayman Islands.
Where is that ad coming from? Now, with ScoMo not willing to be proactive in finding ways to mitigate climate change, we've decided to find some reactive ways that ScoMo could solve other societal issues, namely standard of living. We at The Leak now understand why ScoMo isn't willing to find ways to mitigate climate change. He must be playing 4D chess while we're stuck playing 3D chess like a bunch of losers. To clarify, without action on climate change, we could solve societal issues, namely standard of living, because once the planet's underwater, our standard of living will increase. Just think about how easy it will be to afford a house or a car. Well, not a house or a car per se, but a canoe. The best of both worlds. Just think about how easy it'll be to afford food from the supermarket. Again, not the supermarket per se, but the ocean. I hope you like seafood. Just think about how simple our lives could be. Alright, now we're crossing back to our correspondent, Isaac. Thanks to the wonders of modern technology here at the lake, we're able to join Isaac in the near future. Isaac, how are you faring?
Oh, look, what can I say? Life's a breeze. Bit of a stronger breeze at times nowadays, but no, I can't complain.
Well, oceans would have warmed up in your time so much that it would have resulted in more cyclones and increased volatility in the weather overall, right?
Well, that's just typical Melbourne weather. It's a different season in one day. But you know what they say, variety is the spice of life, and I say more spice. More power to those spicy people. I love spice.
The ocean acidity is also changing, affecting marine life.
Nice try. Nuh-uh, I've seen your famous fascist propaganda film Finding Nemo. We keep it in the Museum of Historical Artifacts. But I've learnt the lesson from that film too, and those marine life creatures can just keep swimming and live somewhere else. You're not going to fool me.
Marine organisms can't swim. Coral reefs can't swim. The Great Barrier Reef's becoming the equivalent of a ghost town.
Yeah, ghost towns are cool. Plus, they're popular tourist attractions, aren't they?
So you talked about beach weather. How are the beaches? Has the shoreline changed much?
Well, it's just more water to enjoy, you know. The Earth is 75% oceans.
I thought it was 71%.
Well, back when you are, maybe.
You're not afraid of all of this?
Look, honestly, I'm a positive person, and I welcome change. I'm not afraid of it. You know, when life gives you lemons.
Thanks for joining us. Nostalgia sells. People will pay good money for stuff that reminds them of the days before the whinging kids, the crippling mortgage stress, and the inattentive spouse. Now there's a whole new front in the battle to sell you back your childhood. A second-hand retailer is rebranding old, dangerous household items as retro. To explain this peculiar trade, we're going to cross live to Beck Batchley, owner of Rebecca's Retro Emporium. Over to you, Beck.
Thanks, Maddie. At Rebecca's Retro Emporium, we have a huge range of pre-1989 aerosol products, all containing genuine, authentic chlorofluorocarbons, hairspray, deodorant, air freshener, bug spray. People ask me, Beck, how can you justify selling products known to cause a hole in the ozone layer? Simple. Nostalgia makes people feel safe. Anything that makes people feel safe can't be harmful. Safe as houses. How, you ask? Remember how you had that teddy bear you slept with every night till you were totally way too old to sleep with a teddy bear? Did you ever suffer the effects of climate change when you had that teddy bear? No, because the teddy bear made you feel safe. Safe as houses. Now I hear you interject, but feeling safe because you own a dangerous thing doesn't make that thing any less dangerous. Well, tell that to the 85-year-old guy I just sold an original FJ Holden to. When you're recapturing the excitement of your salad days, you don't need seatbelts or unleaded petrol. Safe as houses. Gee, Beck, I hear you say, you sure say safe as houses a lot. Well, speaking of houses, if you need some cheap cladding for your McMansion and you're dying to recapture the 2010s vibe, I've got just the thing. I've acquired a massive shipment of reclaimed Renobond PE cladding. Now, Beck, you ask again, isn't that the type of flammable cladding responsible for the Grenfell Tower fire in London? Even better, this is the cladding from Grenfell Tower. Slightly smoky, but does the job. Make me an offer. Safe as houses. But Beck, I hear you say, calling something safe doesn't make it safe. Well, sometimes that's exactly the point. So crank up some Nickelback and relive your first P-plate car crash with genuine Takata airbags. They're a blast! Hold on. You rudely interrupt. You mean the defective airbags that were called after killing 23 people? To which I reply, you're damn right, and if you're lucky, you could be number 24. Live fast, die young, leave a good-looking corpse. And now you're backing away slowly, making some weak excuse about having to visit your grandma. Well, tell your grandma I have a stash of original Wyndham souvenir teddy bears in stock, still dusted with the original asbestos from the mine.
We will be right back. short ad break.
Environmentalists are self-righteous, unattractively cured, and don't vote Liberal. Did you know that for every Australian that's an environmentalist, our key Australian industries of goonbags, fake tan lotion, and mining take a hit of 1.5 to 2 million Australian dollars over the course of the average lifetime? It's un-Australian. It's lazy. It's the worst trait of an Australian, which I call an un-Australian!
Authorised by Conservative Resource Appropriation Partnership. PO Box 666, Grand Cayman, KY1 1113, Cayman Islands.
Again, where is that ad coming from? Now we're going to cross back to our correspondent Isaac in the distant future. Isaac, is everything okay?
Okay. Okay. Are you mad?
Isaac, calm down. Take a deep breath. What's wrong?
Remember that bug back in your time?
COVID-19?
Alright, look. It's nothing compared to what you've been doing to the world.
What have I been doing?
All of you. With your fossil fuel burning, gas and oil drilling, deforestation. You know, I warned you. I told you. The people in the past, I warned you about this.
You did no such thing.
We've got heat waves, droughts, wildfires, the marine life are dying. I warned you about the marine life.
You did not do that.
Animals are dying. Mosquitoes are carrying diseases. Don't come here. You've still got time. I told you this. You've still got time to fix all of this, people in the past.
Zach, if you could give us one message from the future, what would it be?
Unlike this uncaring host,
Hey, excuse me!
you need to be witnessing what's happening before you, and even though it's not unfolding before your eyes, there will be consequences one day. When it unfurls before your eyes, there is still time. Because right now, it is hell on earth. It is hell on earth! And we are being punished for your sins! Oh, it's just so unfair.
We've established that environmentalists are unpatriotic and bad for the economy. But would you know how to spot one? You could be living next door to an environmentalist and not even know it. Why? You could be living with an environmentalist and not even know it. Here are some warning signs to look out for. It is your patriotic duty to report any greenies to the Capitalist Re-Educating Australia Party on the number on below of your screen.
Authorised by the Sky News Presenters Investment Portfolio Management Service. PO Box 666, Grand Cayman, KY1 1113, Cayman Islands.
Apologies for that interruption again there, folks. Can someone do something about that? That cannot happen again. All jokes aside, I think it's time that we separate the issue of climate change from the politics of climate change. So, here are some irrefutable facts about climate change from a recent report called Aim High, Go Fast, Why Emissions Need to Plummet This Decade, published by the Climate Council Australia. There were 4 key findings in this report. Finding number 1, climate change is accelerating with deadly consequences. The ecological systems that have sustained human life and societies for generations are being severely damaged by increasing heat and worsening extreme weather events. Finding number 2. Our response must match the scale and urgency of this worsening situation. Action to deeply reduce emissions this decade will determine whether the climate system can or cannot be stabilised at warming of well below 2 degrees Celsius. Finding number 3. As momentum for climate action gathers speed around the world, all efforts must now focus on steps that can be taken this decade. And last but not least, finding number 4. Australia has everything it needs to act swiftly and decisively to help avert climate catastrophe and prosper in a global clean economy. If you want to find out more about the Climate Council Australia or this report, you can go to www.climatecouncil.org.au. As you can see from these findings, it's clear that Australia needs to take immediate, decisive climate change reform. And what's even better than that is that Australia has the capacity politically and economically to take that immediate, decisive climate change reform now. However, in reality, we can't really separate the issue of climate change from the politics of climate change. So, with a suite of political elections occurring in 2022, including the big boy, the federal election, let's support parties and politicians who support climate reform. Otherwise, we're going to have no climate left to reform. Whether you vote Liberal, Labor, Nationals, Greens or Independent, but hopefully not Clive Palmer's United Australia Party, let's just agree to support those parties and politicians with good climate change policies. Because good climate change policies are so interconnected with all other political policies. So the quicker we as a society make it clear that we demand climate change reform now, the quicker we'll have bipartisan support for climate change reform throughout the Parliament, and we can finally start working in a constructive manner to develop climate change reform that benefits all. Rant over. Thank you. Well, that about does it for tonight, but don't fear, we will be back same day, same time next week for another episode. I have been your host, Madison Weeks. Have a fantastic night!